The moment I had this box of colors in my hands, I had the feeling that my life was there, like an animal that rushes to what it loves. I plunged straight in. Before, nothing interested me. Afterwards, I had nothing on my mind but painting. What is this, Aryadharma?
Yes, that sounds good. It's a quote from Matisse and an exhibition that we saw yesterday called Life and Spirit at the Art Gallery of New South Wales, running from the 20th of November to the 13th of March, and we saw it yesterday, which was one of the last days.
Yeah, we tried. It was our second try.
Yes.
Second go at it.
After, yes.
An unsuccessful attempt on Sunday.
The queues were too long on Sunday. And yesterday we spent an hour looking for parking, but we made it.
Which was one of the highlights of the outing.
It was. Yeah, we rejoiced in everyone else finding parking apart from us.
Well, just a warning to our dear listeners, this is gonna get hairy, because it seems that Aryadharma and myself have different takes on the exhibition, so get ready for the worst and the best.
Oh yes. It's going to get hairy.
By the way, this is...
I'm ready for anything.
Yeah, bring it on. This is Misha del Val.
And Aryadharma Matheson.
And we are broadcasting from Sydney. We are near Enmore Road. And the noise you hear in the background is just the busy cars in the road.
The beautiful river that's just outside our window.
Ah, yeah, I can see it now.
Passing of...
Very good, my friend. So
let's dive in.
So, what were the highlights of the exhibition?
Oh, yes. Well, I as usual, I really like the paintings. I mean, there were cutouts as well, collages, but I loved the paintings. I think we were really struck, first of all, by his self-portrait, and we spent some time looking at that.
From what year was this self-portrait? It was an early one, wasn't it?
Yes. You tell me. I think it was probably early in the 20th century.
Yeah, like
the first.
It's the book. We have the catalogue here, so we can check it out.
But it's a very lovely painting, and it's during his Fauvist period, so brightly coloured, and quite an intense look on his face, but an extraordinary painting of self-portrait, as well as being quite abstracted. Just forms around the head which are kind of simplified and angular.
As if the language of painting was starting to take prominence over the figuration. And in Matisse's case, these elements are mainly about color. So I think there were shapes of color and vibrations between different areas of color that was starting to become as important, at least, as the figuration itself.
Yes, yeah, very good. It was 1900.
Okay.
I'm looking at it now. It's not... it's a very brightly coloured work. And yeah, I agree that there's lots of complementary colours and contrasts. The colour cools across the painting. The different areas of colour cool to each other across the painting.
How old was he when he painted the self-portrait? Because he was born in 1969, if I remember right. So 31.
Ah. Well, he was a very serious youngish man.
Yeah.
Looking like very serious. But we were struck by his eyes as well. Do you remember? They're kind of green.
Yeah. I mean, I remember the frown the front
Yeah, the
and
front.
the lower part of the eyes. Yeah, that's true. Let's come back to the front afterwards. The eyes, I think at the exhibition, I made the comment that they were made from a place of non-intention, where you are somehow connected to what you see and the mark just happened. It had that
Yes.
quality there.
Yes.
They were not properly rendered.
No. Almost as if it painted out the corner of his eye, you know, without trying to make a serious... And they're not actually all that dark. They're quite almost mid-tone. And sort of glazed, or almost as if he's saying it's impossible to paint these eyes completely.
Yeah. And that's, in a way, that's the more accurate way to paint in eyes, to paint in anything really. That it is imbued with its own contradiction of like representation and the thing itself.
Yes.
The
thing is found in the flux, the flux and failure of the paint to register and accurately form and things. What were you going to say?
No, that in a way that's more accurate to reality than, that I don't know how to call things inhabiting the other side of the spectrum of that, maybe more iconic or more image based in some kind of mental idea or something.
Ciphers. I mean that's to me that's what that painting was all about, like the tensions between different areas of color and mark making that defy symbolism and an easy straightforward sort of sign signification. So you end up with this tussle between these quite charged chunks of color and areas of marks, which they communicate that a feverish kind of intensity that is in that painting. It's just stunning. It's really beautiful.
And the shame is that he didn't continue that way for much of his career.
Now we get to the meat of it.
We are still in 1900s.
This is going to get worse. It's going to get bloody. At least we've got a table between us, so we can't fight.
We told the story of how difficult it was to get parking. They promised us we were going to get disabled parking.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But they didn't keep their word, so we were looking for an hour, which added to the what do you say when you are really looking forward to something and
the disappointment?
No. Oh, the disappointment afterwards. I was very much
anticipation.
Yeah. So
that's true.
So as I said, I didn't say, but I do say now that not Matisse, but the works of Matisse in this exhibition as a whole were not my cup of tea.
But they were mine. I mean, I loved it, and without question. Although, there were some paintings that we agreed on were a bit weak or weaker. So that was interesting. But maybe we won't talk about those because that's less interesting. Where we
yeah.
Might be
in a way. Maybe in the last part of the podcast we can go around those words. Maybe I should say that I respect Matisse as a brother artist, as someone who has
the amazing painter,
who has dedicated his life to drawing and painting, and but yeah, as I said, maybe I should start by talking about what I liked from the exhibition. What was my favorite things? So my favorite things was there was a guy in the room where the chapel drawings were exhibited that he seemed to like us.
You liked him. You didn't like the paintings, but you liked the Brummy guy.
Guarding the exhibition, and the first day we attempt to go in on Sunday, he came to us and started talking to us and looking after us and offering us things and things to do and things to see. And we saw him again in the exhibition, and he was again very nice to us, and we were chatting, and that was one of
he was very helpful. I mean, he could see that I was struggling to walk with my stick and that I might really benefit from using a mobility scooter, and so I did the next day. But he was very kindly he went out of his way to be helpful.
Yeah, he had the British accent, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he was from Birmingham.
Yeah. Very nice, very talkative, very engaging, and one of those characters.
So you liked him?
Yes, I
liked him.
I liked.
What about the exhibition?
Let's get back to the exhibition. I like going to a place and being somehow someone we have seen before, being recognized and being like, okay, how are you doing? And you know, that human interaction.
I know.
I appreciated that, and that was one of the features I didn't find in the paintings. So then I very much liked a portion of a painting.
Which one?
It's a portrait of Auguste Pellerin from 1917. Apparently someone who was supporting financially Matisse. And I like one of his eyes, and it's a black, dark, almond-shaped eye that seems empty to me.
He often did that. I mean, there's a lot of paintings where he paints almost masks. I mean, maybe that's the same thing as that painting from 1900, the impossibility of painting an eye.
Yeah, I think
you liked it
in a different
reason. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this belonged to a different.
Can you say more about
different order of things? Because there was eyes with personality. There was a person in the eyes we were talking before in the self-portrait. Where this one is the absence of presence.
It was from it that it's very much a from that synthetic cubist era, isn't it? It's sort of his head is almost a perfect circle. He's painted straight on, looking straight at the artist, and symmetrical in the canvas, almost in the middle.
Yeah.
And his head's a kind of a cipher for a head, a bit like a mask from African art or.
True. Yeah. Yeah. I look at that eye, and the image that came to my mind is to look at the universe, at space, without the stars. That kind of void. And somehow my intuition was asking that the portrait would have had both eyes like that. But the other eye was also painted black, but it had a bit of a shape of the eye, so it was a bit of in between. It didn't have the fullness of absence that the eye we're referring to had. And
void is a good word for that eye, because it does look like it does have that strength of a void shape, and it's also almost spherical, but almond, like you say.
He's not shy in the use of black, this Matisse of ours.
No.
Yeah. And I mean, I appreciated also that it was a commission. He was painting someone probably from whom to a certain extent he was depending on financially, maybe not fully, but if he was a supporter, and he has the guts to not making a flattering portrait at all, but making a painting. I appreciate that.
Although it was kind of trendy at the time. Well, they were looking at early African carvings and masks from tribal art, weren't they? So it could have been that. But I am struck by. I mean, we were both taken by that eye. What was it about it? I mean, I love that image of a sky without stars and the void.
Yeah, it was like as if the person wasn't really there. And which is, I mean, it's something that is not easy to achieve in painting, to paint someone without them being there.
I mean, I don't want to change the subject, but actually, I think Cézanne did that quite well. Oh my goodness, I've mentioned Cézanne. But Cézanne...
We need a different podcast for this. I'm not ready.
Yeah, Misha hates Cézanne. I mean, but bear with me.
His works.
He paints his wife, Madame Cézanne, with almost like a mask, almost devoid, empty of being, of personality, and like an object,
like a tower.
Yeah, like a tower or a vase. You know, he's painting a vase. So, but he does it so well, and it is almost like saying, "What can I say about this individual?" I mean, you know, he might have actually been saying, "I objectify this individual." Yeah, fair enough, but he's it is a hard thing to do, to paint. Yeah, paint someone without the person in there.
There is something for us. There is some human story in the picture, which I don't find in many of the pictures. I think hang on, before we go too deep into this, let's talk about the Vegemite toast we had at the cafe. How good were they?
Talk about dodge the profundity. No, Vegemite is good. Yeah, I like Vegemite.
There was a lady who who wanted us to wait in the queue, and there was a huge queue, and we found our way to sit and order online legitimately. And
this was the mid-show kind of compulsory coffee / Vegemite toast
pit stop.
Good luck. So we were
just jumping
to look at the rest.
To a different country and a different year and a different time. We went to see a Peter Doig exhibition in London maybe 4 years ago, and we went with a friend of Aryadharma's, and so we got there. Half an hour passed, and then Aryadharma's friend said, "Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to go." And then Aryadharma and I look at each other. It's like, we are staying, and it took us just a couple of hours to see the first part. Then we went for a cup of tea and a bagel because we were in London, and then we came back and we spent the afternoon.
Is that how long we spent there?
We spent the whole day.
Great.
Yeah.
It's not surprising.
So
Peter Doig show.
So it's a good structure. It works for us.
Yes, it's important to
spend time,
be prepared,
and even if you are not liking it, like I didn't. Well, it's too strong to say I don't like it. I mean, it's not something I choose. It's just the works didn't resonate with me yesterday.
Maybe I talk more about that.
Maybe I see it tomorrow and it does resonate, but it didn't, and I cannot force it into. I would have loved that I liked the works, but.
What did you not like? You know, what were the? Give me an example of a work and what you felt was. Because I remember saying lazy and.
I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
And there is the spectrum of things being overworked and things being tense, and you see that the artist was struggling, and I don't appreciate that extreme. But the other side of this spectrum is where things are too loose, too floppy. It seems that the artist is not putting all of it, all him or herself there, and it gets a bit uncaring. And I think the exhibition was towards that end of being a bit, a bit too superficial, too, yeah. I don't know if I.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, a bit lacking intention, lacking
the intensity we were describing with the self-portrait.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting, because I would say that some of the later works, that's exactly the charm of the later work, is that he'd sort of let go, and there is just this joyful letting be, in a way. Not a floppiness, but a kind of arabesque, like a cursive, simple, flowing marks that conjure what they need to conjure, but also allow the objects and the people in the images just to be what they are and flow together. And I understand that you felt that was a sort of laziness, but I just felt it was a matter of factness, just a sort of joyful daubing of marks on the canvas that sometimes appeared like carelessness, but was more like relaxedness, a kind of letting it be what it is, something that appears careless, but I can't think of the word. It's just more like matter of factness is the best way I can think of it.
Yeah. Good. I think we settled this quarrel quite in a civilized manner.
It was good. We did involve half the gallery, because there was people listening to us and joining in.
Yeah. Because we do get intense while we watch the paintings, and there was some lady coming to us and very chatty, and I was asking the lady, I was asking anyone who ever sees a painting, like, what will happen if this painting, you find it somewhere else and you didn't know that Matisse was the author, or it was just someone else's painting? Would you look at it in the same way? And I'm always I'm always up to look at the work for what it is, not for whoever has painted it. And I think a lot of it dropped when you dropped the Matisse name out of the name in that particular work, which was that one, and the other one was a still life of mid-30s, can be. I just saw the amateurish, like really nothing particularly special about it.
Amateurish. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's how it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think there's a deceptive casualness to them, and I suppose as Misha was talking about, it's not very good. It's amateurish. I more and more saw how behind that casualness was a kind of that same intensity was there, but a delightful just enjoyment of ordinary objects, and so naturally you'd render them in a very ordinary, almost as I say, deceptively casual way. So I didn't feel like he needed to dress it up anymore or to have a vigor or rigor.
You know what, Aryadharma? I'm very happy that you like them. I feel like I don't need to like them.
No.
Because I'm truly satisfied and glad that you like them and that those works fulfill its mission with someone else. I'm happy about that.
Great.
And of course I cannot force myself to experience things in a way I don't, and just giving an account of how they happen to be, or how they happened to be yesterday when we visited the exhibition. I also was looking at the catalogue, and there was something perhaps bothering me slightly, and it is this male gaze. I perceive a male gaze all through his works, and it's not something I feel like at ease with. There was in the catalogue a picture of him with two ladies, I think his wife and his daughter, and he's standing up there, and they are squatting next to him. And this is just my reading. I'm making this up, but through the work I sense this person with perhaps a lot of charisma and being able to entice models and young ladies to work for him and to pose for him. And there is this gender thing, levels, how do you say, when you order things in certain hierarchy. And maybe just to mention this.
Yes, that's definitely part of the works. And he was from a certain era, and those things were normalized and perhaps shouldn't have been. And it's great that I did feel like the exhibition downstairs, which showed hangings, fabric hangings of, and I don't remember where they're actually from, Java or...
Yeah, they were from the Pacific Islands. Islanders, yeah.
The kind of like putting the authorship of those things back, rather than, recognizing that Matisse appropriated them, basically. And they're not, Matisse-like. Yeah, they're not Matisse-like.
Yeah. Matisse is Pacific-like.
Yeah, Pacific-like, yes.
Cool.
So, yeah, I mean, you've got a point. Yeah. I mean, to go back to the discussion of appreciating difference, I mean, I think I'm very happy that you don't like them. It was an interesting foil for me that you stated, as your strong position, and then I could quite joyfully state mine.
I understand that,
and it almost reinforced.
They feed each other.
Yeah, they feed each other, but not in just. I know. I recognize. I noticed or tried to notice my any sort of reactivity, and there wasn't any. It was just this pure enjoyment of delight in his mark making. And I think one of the things that he was really good at was placing marks in a way that activates all the white spaces in the drawing or painting. So they would often seem offhand and unfinished. And but for me it was even the unfinished ones he'd sign, or things that seemed unfinished he would sign, which to me suggests they were finished. But a lovely kind of sense of better than anyone I could think of, really. Placing a mark and being aware of all of the forces that are around that mark, like the white paper, the rest of the canvas, that are part of the mark as well. So I had a real palpable sense of that, an enjoyment of that throughout it. But I know, you felt some of them were a bit unfinished and not a bit lazy or something.
Yeah, I think relaxed is a good word.
Do you think he was too relaxed?
Yeah, I think it was too relaxed. Yeah. I think relax is a wonderful quality. When it includes its opposite somehow. And yeah, I mean, when you play football, when you do whatever thing you do, you need to be relaxed, of course, rather than tense, but you have to have the necessary energy to fulfill the task at hand. I appreciate a movie football, I don't know which example. Let's say painting. When I'm painting, it's best when I'm relaxed and really enjoying, really engaged, and that engagement is also energy, and I maybe didn't perceive that engaging energy. But I will mention a drawing that I did like amongst the many in the exhibition, and there was a drawing of a woman, how otherwise, giving the back to the viewer, and the lower part of her body was maybe not as descriptive as the rest of the drawings, and it created a field of possibilities. So in most of the drawings there was undoubtedly the description of a woman, and very difficult to look beyond that. In this particular drawing there was a field of possibility of something else. I felt like I could enter this work and imagine something else, something connected perhaps with my own experience of the world. And it was by creating an earthquake to the figuration. That's the drawing.
I mean, yeah, I think it hasn't got a face because she's facing away and the legs go off the drawing to the right. There is less that you could say is a figure in that drawing. It's more unanchored from its figuration, if you like, or symbolic.
Could you tell us the name of the drawing and the year?
It's called Reclining Nude on Stomach, Small African Carpet, and it's 1935.
Thank you.
I mean, I wonder if that for me, I wonder if that relaxed casualness that he has could teach people or could help artists who are a bit more strenuous in their rendering of things, in their approach to painting. I mean, the other thing to say is that Matisse was a very anxious person. I mean, I've read that. He was highly kind of charged with... So I think there's something else behind them. I mean, I'll say that, but the main question is, do you think there's something that's very relaxed that, is a little bit less strenuous that maybe you aren't seeing? Do you think there's something beyond the tip of your nose here that you aren't seeing?
Well, I think it's a good point that you're making, that he was an anxious person, because I don't see that relaxedness as a true relaxedness. So it might be that he didn't want to deal with his, I don't know, this is a big generalization, but he wouldn't like to deal with his life issues through his work. And he had his work a bit as a decorative means and to sustain also his, he was very renowned. And that could have been also a chain that he had to repeat himself in order to keep his work up there in the famous, in the Parnassus of painting.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Yeah, it's such an interesting. I mean, it's all about sensibility, isn't it? I mean, I think that it's like whether an artist talks to you, or certain qualities of their paintings talk to you, is about whether you resonate. You know, use that word, resonate, like whether your sensibility is resonating with them.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's fair enough to critique. You know, oh well, I think actually, you know, maybe that's laziness, or maybe that's the foil, you reacting to your tension or your anxiety, and it's fair enough to criticize it. But then also another day, like you said, you might go back and resonate and see some aspect of yourself resonates with,
definitely,
with that beautiful, casual, relaxed thing in there that I resonated with myself.
Yeah, I think what we're trying to do, or what we have been trying to do in this podcast, which is getting to an end because we are running out of time, is just to reveal things from the works and the exhibition that you, dear listener, might agree or disagree with. So I think just by talking about the works, we are encouraging people to look at them and find their own stance. And yeah, and don't know. Thank you very much for listening. What would you like to add, Aryadharma?
Yeah, no, it's good. It's really good. You said it quite well. I think it's interesting. I mean, I wouldn't add too much more. Just to go back, I suppose, to that use of black, because I think that eye and his strong use of black early on is quite interesting, isn't it? And it is interesting that black is a color of wisdom in Buddhism.
Okay.
It's actually it means all sorts of things in different worldviews, but it's a very strong color, and not many artists use it actually. And Matisse really made a virtue of using it. And in his earlier work, it was much more prevalent than later, which might have some kind of significance. But it was there all the way through.
Hey, lovely to see the exhibition together.
Yeah,
which was a treat.
It was.
And lovely to have this conversation together.
And have the Vegemite toast together.
Lovely Vegemite toast. We might have some for lunch. We'll see. I'm looking at the watch now.
It's past lunchtime.
Getting impatient.
Thank you. That was great.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you. And you might be a bit late to get the exhibition. Could finish it on Sunday, but keep interested. Check Matisse out online. Get to see his work whenever you can.
Matisse is forever.
And we'll hear from you now. We'll make a podcast. This is our first podcast, by the way, so please be pitiful,
be gentle on us.
Yeah.
But also, and come and be interviewed and have a good argument with Misha, because he's polemical and
lovely.
Okay.
Bye. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Bye.